Hello everyone, welcome back to Trek-A-Day. Just finished watching the latest episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds through the lens of time. And it's an episode that I don't have a whole lot to say about, and that's rather disappointing because usually when these videos end up being a bit longer, my very first impressions, just kind of this off-the-cuff thing, if they're longer it's because I either absolutely adored something or have a lot of problems, or it's something that is really out there and different, and there's a lot to unpack, whether good or bad. And this is kind of that spot that I find very uninteresting, where it doesn't fall in any of those categories. This was just kind of an okay episode. There really isn't a whole lot to get into. And it's disappointing because the concept is fantastic. Anything with Star Trek and archaeology, exploring an ancient civilization, exploring where some ideas from mythology could have come from. Are they based on some sort of reality or technology? It's always a fascinating thing to explore within Star Trek. And here, everything was very vague and surface and uninteresting, as we get the return of Dr. Roger Korby as he prepares, along with Nurse Chapel, to lead an archaeological expedition on the planet Vesda, which is home of a species called the Macroon, who are wary about the Federation and limit the number of people that can come down the away team, the level of exploration. But here's this huge opportunity to help them investigate part of their heritage and investigate some ideas of seeking mortality and ancient technologies within their own culture. And at the same time, we also have Erica Ortega's younger brother there filming his documentary, and he doesn't really add a whole lot. The characters are a bit annoyed by his presence and his filming, and I felt the same way because he wasn't, partially because of his personality and his wanting to interact with Uhura, and you get that in their little kind of cutesy flirting. He doesn't work very well within his capacity as someone who's trying to just document a mission that's going on. He's a little too in the way. We have this interesting idea of layered interdimensional realities as a way of searching for immortality and finding this ancient alien structure, and the setup is something that could have been fascinating. The whole time that I was watching it, and it was just kind of dull and uninteresting, and even the set designs within this ancient alien structure, which normally that's one of the few things that Stranger Worlds tends to do pretty well, and not always a style that I like. As I said, I really hate the engineering set and the look of the bridge, but some things are done ridiculously well with some of the effects, with some of the set designs for alien ships or planet side. Like, some of that looks fantastic, even if I'm not a big fan of, say, the writing in an episode. A lot of times I can't fault a lot of the look and the costume work and things like that, but here it felt drab and uninteresting, and the visual effects were not convincing. It just felt below par compared to even the other episodes within this season. And the whole time I'm watching, as I said, I just kept thinking in the back of my mind, this exact same premise, this exact same plot, done with the quality of writing of TNG. That was the show that really came into my mind. This idea seemed to fit that, and like how cool that could have been. Here, it just, even for Stranger Worlds, was something that failed to really utilize the premise that it set up. The one thing that stood out was the episode opens immediately with our young Ensign Gamble being all happy about his new posting on the Enterprise and excited about his work and being able to go on his first real away mission, get some field experience, and the whole way it was set up, I'm like, oh boy, he's in trouble. Something bad is going to happen to him. I was not expecting, spoiler here, again, as I do these, I'm assuming you've watched the episode. I was not expecting them to write him off, for him to die, and I believe be the vessel for what is going to be kind of the big bad of this season, as we've sort of wrapped up things with the Gorn, with the exception of the ongoing story of Captain Patel. We have that. While wrapping the Gorn up sort of as the big bad of the season, I think that now we are getting into, as they discover this place is an interdimensional prison for these ancient beings, and one of them takes over Ensign Gamble's dead body, and is eventually, thanks to Scotty's quick thinking, trapped in the transporter buffer as their own way of capturing this being kind of keeping him in limbo for now. Definitely not the last we're going to see of this ancient interdimensional being, this Vesta. So I think that this is really going to be an episode that, while I don't think it was anything spectacular, I have a feeling it's going to be important for the course of the rest of this season. So we'll see how that moves on. And it's also something where sometimes my opinion changes a little bit going back after a season is over, because sometimes if things are set up and seeing how they play out, maybe there's something that was set up that I missed, or maybe things turn out, a storyline that starts off not being the greatest can turn out to be more significant and impactful towards the end, and then I have a greater appreciation. Never know, it goes one way or the other. So this is one I am curious, once the season is over, if it is as important to the rest of this season as I think it's going to be, reaching the midway point here. It'll be interesting to go back and check it out. But yeah, overall it was just sort of an okay episode that I think fell a little flat, partially because I was really interested and invested in the premise and really wanted to see a great old school Star Trek exploration of these ideas, and didn't quite get that. It just didn't quite work. A lot, even the dialogue and the interactions between a lot of the characters were very exposition heavy and not in a way that felt natural. It was a little odd. The one thing that is a positive is they're holding back a little bit, and hopefully they keep holding back on the Spock and La'an possible budding relationship, because that is just bizarre. Even the actors have said that when they first were reading the scripts for this season, they're surprised, and of course they were surprised, because it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really work. That's the one thing with this Spock. I feel like they did a great job with casting, and he's doing a fantastic Spock, as much as he can, but I haven't been a fan of what they've done with the character. So I've not been a fan of Spock within Strange New Worlds as far as the writing of the character and what they've done with him, but I can't take anything away from Ethan Peck, because I think he is doing the best that he can do within the confines of the material he's given. An actor can only do so much with a role. The writing is a big part of the portrayal of the character. But yeah, again, I've always said I think he has a great ability to do Spock as well as he can. Taking that iconic character and playing him and making him not just a copy or parody of Nimoy, kind of making him your own, but still trying to be true to the character. I 100% believe that he has the ability to do that, because in the moments where he's allowed to do that, he's done a fantastic job. But yeah, they keep doing just weird things and making a lot of odd choices with Spock on Strange New Worlds. So we'll see where all this goes as we get into the back half of this season.